Welcome back to WTF Watching Transformers. My name is Chocho, and I'm joined again by my friend Hot Rodney Prime. Well, we're going to be watching episode 2, or fuck, I'm going to redo that whole thing. Welcome, welcome back everyone to WTF Watching Transformers, where we're going to be watching More Than Meets the Oh shit. You know, it's the hardest time to talk is when you're trying to script it. It's the worst.
You've got a script in front of you.
No, but I know exactly what I want to say, you know what I mean? Maybe I should write it down. Welcome back, everyone, to WTF Watching Transformers, where today we're going to be watching More Than Meets the Eye, Part 2. I'm Chocho. I'm joined again by my friend Hot Rodney Prime.
People hate the swearing, or are people okay with the swearing?
I think in
Leave a
podcast form,
comment
swearing
below.
is fitting, right? Like, if you're doing a podcast and you don't throw in an F-bomb once in a while, you're not doing your job.
I'm quite good with the swearing. Actually, I think it's quite good fun.
Me too.
I wanted to start this episode anyway by talking about where we used to get as Transformers from when you first came across them. You know, when you were way back in the day, way back, like when this episode first ever came out back in the 80s. Where did you used to get your Transformers from? Was there like any local shops, or because it wasn't like how it is today? How it is today is most people who would call themselves Transformer collectors basically buy them online and have them delivered to their house.
Absolutely, very different.
It didn't used to be like that.
No, not at all.
The only way you knew about these Transformers, because there was no internet, there was very little in regards to like documentation in regards to actually picking these things up. The only way you knew about it is through the comics and through the cartoons and through the adverts on the TV. And the adverts were just as entertaining as anything else that was out there. If you can actually go online and see all these adverts today, can't you? And it was just so beautiful how they were like the kids, but these kids were amazing at doing these transformations. Do you remember that?
Absolutely. I love the adverts, and that was what got me to buy these things. But I actually had two weird forms. One's very Canadian, and I know the other one's quite international. But we had a department store called Eaton's where we got our Transformers, and it was very much just like your large department stores that still exist to this day. I would assume it's something like Macy's, but it was a Canadian only department store, and you went in there and you could buy pots and pans, you could buy a mattress, you could buy a washing machine, but there was also a floor where there was kids stuff, kids clothes and kids toys, and one wing of the building was purely kids toys, and that was a really cool experience. We loved hanging out in there. They even had a little restaurant on that floor I remember going to, and you could have a bite to eat and go buy yourself a Transformer.
We had exactly the same in the UK. I used to have a shop in my town called the Cooperative. Well, they call it the Co-op, and the Co-op had 4 floors. Like you say, at the top there was a restaurant, and then you could buy settees and sofas and all that kind of things and beds. And then further down it went, you had like clothes on the next door, and then they had like pots and pans. You're like, why pots and pans? Maybe because they were heavy and you didn't want to take them up any higher than the first level.
Absolutely,
well, that don't make sense because the sofa's at the top. I don't understand. But then in the bottom part of the actual department store, right in like the basement, was like this massive toy department. And at Christmas, it turned into like a big Santa's grotto. But I remember going in there and it used to have all the Masters of the Universe and the Action Force and all that. And then one day they just arrived and they had a whole section that was just, I can't remember what was there the week before.
Christmas in the toy department.
All there.
Yeah, Christmas in the toy department in a department store was magical. Like it felt like you were in your own place. Like you go to Toys R Us at Christmas, they don't even fucking strap a mistletoe to the ceiling. Like no, you don't even feel it. Yeah, like they really made you want to go in there and experience it and basically empty your wallets, I think. You know, the other thing that we had, and I don't know, I've heard of other places that had this, but we had a place called Consumers Distributing. It wasn't far from the house, and you basically go in there, and it was basically just a large display house with catalogs everywhere and forms you fill out. and you basically flip through the catalog. You'd also get the catalog in the mail with the yellow pages and white pages every year. But this catalog had everything they sell. Now, everything they sell was in the back. So you'd go flip through the catalog, you'd find the Transformer you want, you'd mark it in, A263, and you'd give them the slip and pay them, and they would bring out the toys or whatever you buy from that
We have
store.
something. We have something like that in the UK called Argos.
Do they still operate?
Yep, it's still a massively popular store. It's really strange, but now it's like computerized and everything. You go in there, you don't even have to talk because you know like how it used to be with them. It used to have them big laminated. There's a comedian called Bill Bailey. Have you heard of him?
No, I don't recall the name.
Really cool comedian. So he's really funny, and he says why are the pages in the Argos catalogue laminated? He says to catch the tears of joy. He's got like these really horrible laminated catalogues that are like really thick, and you turn them over.
Absolutely. And
And then you have
honestly, I felt like
you
I
have
was
the
in a.
trolls.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You have the trolls that work in there that stand behind. They have there's like a wall, isn't there? There's a wall,
Yeah,
and
like
they
a
have
counter.
the counters with the little. We have in the UK they have like letters in there, A B C D E, and then there's a little troll that stands behind there, and he just waits there to be signalled, and then he kind of just like turns around and goes into the back, disappears for a little bit, and then he comes back, hands over you, and then he shouts your number out, and then you hands
Yeah. The start of the episode is a recap of episode 1. It's a quick recap.
I quite like that because you know the guy who's at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
He does like a run through of exactly what's happened. But if you listen to him, he goes, the Decepticons tried to turn oil into energy, and he goes, it's really cheesy.
In search of precious energy, the Autobots venture forth into outer space.
Yeah, like this is Huffer's first appearance. The funny thing is, you get a not so grumpy Huffer, and I can only explain that is because his arm's trapped. I guess his spark is on the line. All of a sudden, he's a nice fucking guy. Um, where as soon as his life's not in danger, the guy's a dick. So that's the one thing I noticed. And then
He
obviously,
seems a really sweet character in the first one, doesn't he? You're right.
yeah, he's just
It's like,
lovely because his life's on the line. Of course, he's nice. And then he gets
now,
back to the shop and
there's
he's
one
a
thing
pure dick.
I want to mention in this first episode, right? In the first like minute or so, you have like first Trailbreaker. He gets up and he starts like using his hand transforms into this beam thing. Wheeljack puts the fire out. His hand transforms
Yeah.
into a fire extinguisher.
That is true. And then you get Jazz with the hook hand who helps Optimus.
Yeah.
So, they
all,
are showing.
All of them are going like this hand transformation thing going on.
They strip all these guys. You never see those effects from these guys in the episodes again after these first 3 series or 3 episodes, right?
Do they not do that? But they put those kind of little features into the masterpiece figures, didn't they? So that you got
a lot of these features that you see in the masterpiece figures came from these first 3 episodes. It's like in the last episode when we were laughing about the Autobots being able to fly. I think maybe what they thought of once the series was greenlit is they said, "Hey, let's cut back these guys' abilities to make it seem more like an underdog story of them fighting against the Decepticons. That they just don't have the abilities that you'd think would be beneficial in many situations." I don't know if that's what it is, but that's my only explanation for them cutting back on their abilities once the series gets going.
Spike and Sparkplug are the 2 guys, aren't they?
The 2 humans. Yep.
Yep. They've just been rescued by the rest of the Autobots. He introduces himself as Optimus Prime, and literally on 2 minutes 49 seconds or 2 minutes 30 seconds, he's actually moved in with him. He's there. He's actually moves in with the Autobots, like introduction. Yeah, come move in with us.
It really doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't take long for Prime to kind of couple up with those humans. That's for sure.
Yeah. Come and move in with us.
But they owe him a life debt anyhow, right? So maybe Optimus is like, you know what? These dudes are just gonna listen to what I tell them because I saved their lives, right?
and what the next thing that happens after that is he's writing in a little journal about how he's met all these Transformers.
Yeah.
And he's sat with that great big spaceship sticking out at Rob's. And then he walks down, and then Soundwave's there, and he transforms into a little cassette player. And then he goes, "Oh, somebody's left this here." So he thinks that somebody's actually come across. He probably dropped that recorder when they saw a spaceship sticking out. What the fuck is that?
I never really
Right.
thought of it that way, but that's so funny. Like, yeah, some other humans know that this is here. Like, come on, yeah.
No wonder he probably shit his pants and all when he saw a great big spaceship sticking out at Rob's. That's probably a trail of diarrhea somewhere. Heading off in a direction. Then you've got your next great bit is the bit when they start showing off their abilities.
Yes.
Which is about 3 minutes in.
Yeah, I love this part actually.
Because he goes the hologram bit, doesn't it? I quite like that. That's quite good.
I don't know. I guess they're trying to be, a little bit fun here too. A little, I guess you'd call it comedic for the '80s. Just kind of having a good chat. I mean,
if you're a Mirage, though, you stay invisible, wouldn't you? What's the point in actually being a Transform when you can be invisible all the
well,
time?
it uses more energy, my friend. More energy.
Ah.
You can't waste all the energy on.
Ah, I see now.
In wrestling, they call that kayfabe. You got to keep kayfabe. What kayfabe is basically you got to keep up the bullshit bits. You got to explain why you can't do things all the time, right? Like, why can't you walk into a ring and give the other wrestler your finishing move right away, call it a day? It's because you have to have that match, right? And it's just like, oh, we can't have Mirage invisible all the time because he would be perfect. He would be unstoppable. So we give it a reason. He runs out of energy on if he does it too much. That's the way.
It's a bit of a pervert, no, wouldn't it? If you're
that's
what it
true.
definitely be.
Yeah, so, and how are you going to sell a toy if you never see the fucking guy?
Well,
he's
I'm
the
sure
invisible guy.
There was a kid at my school that said he had a Mirage. He had the invisible Mirage. He just said,
yeah, he just had an empty box.
So Soundwave's actually in the Autobot base. He's slow as fuck trying to swipe. He swipes at what's his name at Spide.
Yeah, he takes a real silly swipe.
The Great Khali were faster than in WWE.
Let's not get too much wrestling in this episode. What's with that nasty swipe and then somehow Spike outraces him to the emergency button? Yeah. I actually my note on the situation was Spike is caught with his member in Teletran 1.
We all do that now and again.
and you know what's funny about as the sequence goes on is Soundwave just ditches Ravage. He's on his marks. He's going and he's calling out for Ravage, but he just looks back and says, "Fuck it, let's move on."
he says "fuck it" and he leaves him behind, and then he's off, and that's it.
And I believe that's the last time we see Ravage in this episode. We don't see him again. Well, I think you find out what happened to him in episode 3. I'm thinking. I haven't watched it recently, so I don't know.
It's quite entertaining because the next scene where you actually see Soundwave is in Megatron's outside throne room. Megatron decided, I'm going to put my throne outside. I'm just going to sit out here and let everybody sit in my chair.
Out in the open.
Everybody else can stand around me while I'm in my throne.
So much for disguise modes. It's just some huge robot chilling out in the desert, you know? You know what? I don't know if we missed this, but just a little before what you're talking about, did you notice that when Gears transforms, he's a red truck? Is that on your copy as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just a pure red truck, which I thought was a little neat, but it's so short. And then I think he turns his proper colors, right in the clip scene. That's right. So he's a red truck, and then the scene cuts, and he's a blue truck. So just wanted to point it out.
From then onwards, it's the Decepticons are talking about whether we're going to attack the dam, and Megatron basically says we're going to attack it at sunrise. Why does it need to be sunrise? Did they go to bed?
That's true.
We'll do it in the morning. We'll do it in sunrise. Not do it now.
Have they not got all the plans finalized yet? Like, I don't know. Here's a hero moment. Starscream tries to convince Megatron not to do it.
Yeah.
He tries
Telling
to
you.
convince him not to do it. He doesn't think it's a, where he explains it is not thinking that it's a good plan.
That's not even on my list of the Starscreen points. So that's bing, one for Starscreen.
And one for Starscream, yeah. I should do a solid save of that ping noise you just made and use that every episode.
I love this scene. Operation Tidal Wave, and he goes into the thing, and then uses little power drivers, and this is these scenes in this is a brilliant part of this episode, in my opinion. I think this is fantastic.
Absolutely, this episode is so fast paced. We're getting so much entertainment so quickly. Like we're not even halfway through the episode, and we've gotten so much going. This is a relentless episode and very enjoyable.
But there's some really good hero moments in a bit with this like Hound and Bee and Ironhide and everything. They all take care of business, don't they? When Megatron busting through the wall of the power station, everything's fantastic. It's really, really good.
Great, and then the cool thing is they're cutting back to the Autobots coming, getting there, so you get that sense of urgency, and then they cut back to the Decepticons. Like the direction of this episode is fantastic, and then they go to commercial,
to be honest,
and they go to commercial right when the dam's gonna break, like when it's starting to crack. So you're kind of fired up to stick around and watch. It's really well done. And then and then you get Ironhide basically telling B to shut up. That we got work to do, bitch, kind of thing. They create those channels to advert the extra water, I guess.
I like that bit. I really like that bit because it just shows you how useful. Because where the last episode they kind of looked a bit redundant, the Autobots. In this one, they all have a job to do. So Hound goes under the water and he starts fighting with Rumble.
Yeah.
So Hound's down there fighting with Rumble. It's important. You need to observe this, right? Then you've got Bee and Ironhide cutting them channels, and that's a brilliant scene, and it's such a good thing. But right, here we go. 10 minutes on the clock. The Autobots all come flying through the air, and then they bust into that factory, into the warehouse, don't they?
Yeah, flying in, yeah. And then the energon cubes.
Right. Notice the two Decepticons that they shoot when they fly in. 2 Starscreams.
Yeah.
Right. The next scene, you ready? The next scene when it comes in, right? You've got, if you pause it there, right? You've got Megatron and Soundwave stood next to him, and
you got Skywarp and
yeah. Right. Okay. So they're making the little energon pillows on the floor. You have Reflector and Reflector making the Autobot pillows, and stood near him is a Reflector. Stood and behind him is another Reflector. So there's 4 reflectors in that shot. Also in that same shot is Rumble, Rumble, Rumble. 3 Rumbles.
And more Rumble. And this is, you're absolutely right. And this continues through the episode. There is a massive amount of additions to the Decepticons. You're going to see a lot of doubles and a lot of extra Seekers in this episode. I think I noticed that as well.
Yeah. So you've got tons and tons of them all over the place. Loads of Rumbles, loads of Reflectors, and they just. But Rumble is also having a fight with Hound underneath, so that's 4 Rumbles.
Yeah, that's true. He is still outside. Yeah.
But one of the best things is in this episode when this Optimus and Megatron fighting on the platform, and Megatron's standing on Optimus's fingers. Optimus is in dire straits, and who stops Megatron from destroying Optimus?
I'm guessing Starscream. He's just he's got a slingshot. I didn't even notice that. Oh yeah. Yeah, so he causes an explosion that knocks Megatron back.
Correct. More evidence, more Starscream evidence, and then after that you have the iconic scene on the dam.
Yeah, so basically Starscream allows the great conflict with Optimus and Megatron to happen. He basically gives Optimus a chance.
Yep.
Amazing.
Hero.
Amazing.
But it's such a good scene, the bit when they fight, because it's so simple and it's a brilliantly done thing that you buy a masterpiece Megatron, no matter if being a proper one or a third party one, and they all have the mace. You buy an Optimus Prime that looks like a
They
G1,
always have
and he
an
has to have the
axe.
axe.
Yeah.
And like you say, it was only really done for this. It wasn't done anywhere else. And if you didn't have a mace and an axe, you'd be quite disappointed, wouldn't you?
Well, absolutely. I think it's something that you need to have, even if it ends up in the box and you never use it. It's just so fitting, right? What do I got in my notes here to see if I miss anything? Spike gets in deep and screams for help, which distracts Prime. Oh, that's
no, but
true.
you've got one of
Spike.
you've got the hound and Spike scene coming up in a little bit.
Well, Spike distracting Prime is how the fight ends. Like Spike catches Optimus's attention, and that's why Megatron is able to knock him off the dam.
Hound's got like a face mask on to stop it so he can breathe.
Yeah,
I don't know what that's all about.
And then I think it was again adding features.
Spike's over the rock, and I don't know what Hound's doing to him from behind, but he was enjoying that.
But that's what I think is funny is Spike just got backhanded by Rumble, and the next time you see him, he's underwater helping Hound. Now I don't know. I know underwater is a different thing, but come on, how much help is Spike really gonna be under there? Like, come on.
What's Hound doing? What's Hound doing to Spike? If you look at 13 minutes, 30 seconds when Spike's over the rock and Hound's got him from behind. What's Hound doing to him?
Well, I had notes on this. This is the old squeeze chest thing from the 80s. Remember? There was a time when we didn't know proper CPR or chest compressions. Do you remember I think back in the 50s, they used to, if you just drowned it, they'd grab your fucking legs and use them as like a lever to push against your chest to try to get you breathing again. It really shows the age of the cartoon by that method. He's basically just ramming him in the back to try to.
It looks like he's trying to fuck him. I'll be honest.
but again, even if mouth to mouth was available at that time or known about, I think they would have had second thoughts about Hound locking his lips around Spike. That's for sure.
Probably, yeah. We have another Starscream hero moment. Because they're talking about how much energon that they have and how much they need.
Oh yes, that is coming up. Yeah,
Starscream starts just wasting it.
Do you have any thoughts on Prime having to kind of keep up his troop spirits there? I thought that was.
Yeah,
I thought it was a little neat to have in there, but I didn't think of anything clever to say about it. I mean, he's just Mirage, like, hey, we should just go home. And he's like, no, dude, we gotta fight. I thought it was cool scene, but I don't think there's anything funny we can mention about it, really.
I quite like that scene. How they all talk about how they're not fighters. They're like they're just like scientists, aren't they? And explorers and things like that.
I think it adds a nice dynamic. And I think it kind of reminds me about the first movie, actually, where they're on the dam and they're talking about helping Bumblebee. And Optimus is like, hey, man, we got to focus on our mission right now. We can't be pissing around. Bumblebee's doing what he has to do.
Are you praising Michael Bay?
No, I'm thinking he copies little bits from the show so that we get our nostalgia, right? Like,
I'll let you off.
Like in future episodes that we're gonna get to, there's the whole spaceship scene in one of the future episodes where they send the spaceship up and the Decepticons think they blew up all the Autobots, but they didn't, and I think that Michael Bay sees these little bits and says, hey, that's actually good storytelling. I'm gonna steal that because I really have not thought of anything better to do. Well,
the first I'll be honest, the first Transformers movie, the Michael Bay one, I don't mind. I think it's all right.
I like it. I thought it was fun. I don't think it was perfect, but I definitely had fun watching it. I think it was a good amount, an equal amount of humans and Autobots for the time. I thought it was well done, but it felt like just a simple fun movie. And I wanted it to go from a simple fun movie to some great stories, and we didn't get the great stories. We just got one simple fun movie and a bunch of bullshit after. That's the sad part about it. We were doing the Starscream talk, because Starscream, right at this point, he's basically wasting energon, right?
Yes.
And in a way, holding back how quickly the Decepticons can make their escape, which is another hero moment. And I
Correct.
think that's what you brought up is, Starscream is he's delaying the Con's departure. Um, Intentional. Insert Bing sound, right?
Bing.
But was that your point on the situation?
Yes. The point that he's actually is scolding him, saying, "No, I'm going to get more energy on you, prat. Well, I'm going to get more energy on now because you're pissing about, wasting it."
The Burma
So
crystals. For some reason, the name of the damn crystals stick in my head. I don't know why.
we missed a good scene actually. While we've been talking about the Burma thing, it's the Lambo Bros, the Lambo boys.
Is what planes are these? These are not Skywarps. These are not Thundercrackers. These are basically a purple overall. Maybe they're Thundercrackers, two Thundercrackers. It's kind of speaking to what you were talking about before. And before they even, finish off at the mines before that scene, if we did go back, there is a ton of purple Seekers and kind of alluding to what you were talking
Yeah.
about before, where there's a teal one right there when they're in the mines. There's a teal, is that Slipstream? Like they're adding Decepticons here that you don't
Oh
see later on.
There's
Yeah.
loads of them, aren't they? Or just
They're just throwing in like extra
duplicating them.
bots, just making the army look bigger, I guess. I'm guessing.
Must have done. Yeah.
And then basically the Autobots get there, and they send Bumblebee and Sparkplug into the mine to set an explosive charge that will finish off the cons.
Well, apparently he's worked those mines before. He says, "I've worked these mines before."
Yeah.
He used to work in. He worked on an oil rig, and then he also worked in some mines in Burma.
And I guess this is why Bumblebee is considered a spy. I don't know if you noticed too that at one point I think the back of either Jazz's or Prowl's head is yellow, like Bumblebee. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got Bumblebee's head.
Yeah. Not a huge thing, but another little error, right? You have the countdown, and then Cracker and Warp basically are alerted to their presence. We don't see what happens to them, but we know that Optimus uses Roller for the first time and sends them in, and he says the good old cliche line. I sorry, I'm using the word cliche again, but I don't know what else to call this. He says, "If I'm not back in 5 minutes, come get me." I don't know if I've watched Ace Ventura too much, but I always, every time I hear, "If I'm not back in 5 minutes," I want to say, "Just wait longer." I don't know if you do that too, but I don't know. That's what I hear. But he says, "Come get me," and charge goes off, and we don't know what happened to Roller, Spike, the Decepticons. We really don't know what happens to anybody, and Prime goes rolling down the hill, and I think it finishes with a sad cry from Prowl yelling Prime, or Jazz yelling Prime.
It's Prime!
Because he don't give a fuck about Bumblebee or Sparkplug, that's for sure.
No. Prime's the man, isn't
he? Yeah, Prime's the important one. If you wanted an official figure from this episode, and it can only be a character from this episode, let me know what that figure would be, and also what would the repaint be, because as we know, Hasbro has to have repaints. What do you got, Hot Rodney?
Well, I like, because you can have your side swipes and things like that, but Sideswipe and Sunstreaker are different. They have a totally different robot form from each other. Where you have like Sideswipe's got the bonnet on the chest, the hood on the chest rather.
Yeah.
And then he's got his normal, and then you've got the Sunstreaker. It says Sunstreaker to the yellow. It's got the
roof, right?
Is his feet? Is a different way around.
Yeah.
And there isn't a decent. I can't think of it. Even though I've got like the Combiner Wars version of him.
Oh, I hate that one.
It's a terrible bloody toy. and the wheeljack one, I wanted to smash them up. But I'd really like a decent Sunstreaker, even if because it maybe not Titan's Return. We'll do the next one, whatever's after Titan's Return. I think I'd
The
like to
next
see
wave, yeah.
a version of Sunstreaker in that.
But then if you have a Sunstreaker, what's your repaint? That's throwing a big question mark in my mind. I don't know who you can use that for.
I would have probably Breakdown.
Yeah,
Not
oh
Breakdown.
yeah, break down the other Lamborghini, yeah. Does
Yeah,
Breakdown
Breakdown.
use the bonnet chest? No, he doesn't. Yeah, so that might work.
He doesn't know. He has it
He has a
differently,
unique
doesn't he?
chest, yeah. He doesn't look like Sideswipe Transform, that's for sure.
Mm.
So that's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one. But if I was rating you on points, Hot Rodney, not that original. Come on, I'll give you a more original one. All right, I want to do an official Gears. Okay, official Gears figure. Now we did get a Legends, but I'm thinking more of a deluxe or something that you could use in an MP sense. And then I want to repaint him into Battle Trap. Now, I don't know if you know Battle Trap, but he was a Duocon toy. Now, his truck mode was a lot like Gears. He's a Decepticon. But the Duocon thing is that you took two toys to put together to make one bot.
Now, I used to have one of them.
Yeah, so he had
like a little tank and a jet that he used to.
Yes, those are Duocons, and this one was a truck and a helicopter. Now, if you did a Gears and then you repainted him into, Battle Trap, all you'd have to do is make another armor set that basically was a bunch of pieces that made a helicopter, and you could take those pieces off, add them to the Gears figure to make armored up Duocon Battle Trap. What do you think? I think that's
pretty good.
Yeah, they'll never spend the money on it.
You're gonna have to explain this in pictures. You know that, don't you?
Well, I just think of it like a fans project armor set, right? You know how you can get Rodimus and you can get the trailer and you can put all the parts on them to make them Rodimus Prime. I'm thinking of it that way. I don't think Hasbro or Takara will ever put the money into making an armor set for a character like Battletrap, who was simply a toy. But I just thought he was a really cool toy. At the time, honestly, now looking back, I think it's kind of shit. But the idea of the gimmick of combining two bots, which is quite popular over the last couple of years, the whole combination thing. I'm surprised they haven't gone with the more parts formery. You see it in those third party overlords and all that stuff. With the whatever the MMC. I can't remember the name of them, but I just thought it would be neat if you took a character that you already had a toy for, you get the cheap, easy repaint out of it, but you just add armor pieces, you get a whole new toy that you can charge way more for.
Yeah, you come up with that one, the me, didn't you? I will later.
Well, I love the Sunstreaker idea. I can't. Oh man, I can't stand any of them, and I know we might get some hate or I might get some hate for this, but that Universe Sunstreaker, even though it's not bad, I hate those goddamn knee pads in the hollow back of the legs. I don't know if you have one of those, but I don't care for the Universe. I know Beefy likes the Universe Sideswipe, but I just hate the legs on them. I hate the legs on them.